Today I'm doing a tutorial on Tycho's A Walk. I've really liked this song for a really long time, and just a few days ago I had thought I could probably recreate that on the S1, and so I tried my best, and this is what I came up with. I think it sounds pretty good for being a completely different synth, and probably a lot cheaper too. So I'm going to be doing a tutorial on it. My patrons have access to this tutorial first and all of the information, as well as cheat sheets, other field recordings that I am going to be releasing, and all sorts of other things. So if you want to support me in that way, I highly recommend checking out my Patreon. So getting right into it, we're going to initialize this patch. And then we're actually going to reload the sequence. Extend it all the way out to 64 steps. First thing we'll do is lower the BPM to 70. Original BPM is 140, but this is half-timed. There we go, and we will basically just work from there. And so we'll put the pulse all the way up to 255, saw all the way down, sub we'll start with all the way down for now, as well as the noise. What we're going to be using is actually an advanced feature that you might have seen on my advanced waveform drawing video. So we're going to go into the draw. Form we're going to select, switch we're going to select as slope, and then in the form we're actually going to be drawing in a custom wave that the S1 does not have. So how we're going to do that, we're going to set this first step to 0. And if you want more information on this, I highly recommend watching that advanced waveform drawing video. It's a super powerful tool that honestly I do not see being used enough on the S1. It can't make any sound, but it can make quite a range that really expands kind of the palette of the S1. And I think is a good way if you're, feeling a little stuck. You can do all sorts of different things that the S1 just doesn't do by default. And so you should be following along, hopefully, with the values I'm putting in. If you're not, I go step by step through them all in that video. I'm doing it rather quick right now. Gonna need -71. And in that video, I also cover some other waveforms that get, like I said, a very new and different sound out of the S1 that, I don't know, I think really kind of changes how I interact with the S1. And so I actually missed one, funny enough. Let's see. You can just quickly double check your work. 0, that should be -38. -71, -92, -100. That's what I'm missing. -100, -92 again. 71. And then end with -38. And as you can see, we already have that very nice kind of rounded wave. And there's also the multiply, but we'll leave that at 0. You can use it performatively, but I just run it as that for now. We're then going to want to affect the oscillator pitch a little bit with the LFO right around 32. Bring in some noise. Now, obviously it doesn't sound quite right, but you'll see some things. Upgrade the sub to right around, say 54. Let's go down to the envelope, actually, because that will kind of shape the sound quite a bit. Attack set to 0, decay. It won't matter unless you performatively modify the sustain, which we'll have at 255, and then a release around 156. And so as you can see, it's a little too much built up, so let's cut it all down with the filter, down to 51. Bring the envelope up. Resonance we want set around 36. and how much the LFO is going to be affecting the filter, let's say right around 32 or 34. Now, you can clearly hear that the LFO is not right, it's way too fast, so we're gonna go into the menu, find LFO, let's see, LFO-N, or sorry, LFO-S, which stands for LFO sync. We're gonna turn that on. Still too loud or fast, so we want to set that to 1/1. Then for the LFO shape, we're gonna want that to be reverse, so it's going up. All right, so we're a bit closer, but we still have a little more work to do. We gotta add in some reverb. I also, sorry, I forgot one thing. I was like, that sounds a little too low. I forgot to set the range to 8. There we go, and that really brought it together. With the reverb up around 200. I don't use any delay or chorus, but I do use quite a bit of reverb. So does Tycho. So that type is spring. I don't know if that is correct, but I just thought it sounded really nice for this patch. Time is 200, so very long. Level is also 200. Pre-delay, I actually think that should be up more at like 100. Low cut, I almost always put low cut and high cut on my reverb just to kind of ground the sound, the reverb a little more. So 250 for the low cut, 12.5K for the high cut. Density all the way up at 10, almost always. And so let's just hear that. So I think that sounds pretty good. I do not use any portamento. If you do, I would have it really, really low at like 4 or 5. I honestly think both sound pretty good. So it's kind of your choice whether or not you want any portamento on there. I think both really sound quite nice. In terms of other settings, we don't have any keyboard filtering on. No delay, no chorus. That will be off. As you can hear, it gets a little too hollow sounding for my taste. So, final thing would be the notes. All of my patrons are actually going to be receiving a MIDI file for this, so they can easily just either reference that or import it directly onto the S1 really easily. They will also be receiving a quick and easy cheat sheet for all of the patches that I've done tutorials on here and more. That is going to be hopefully very useful for anyone that kind of wants an additional step towards learning kind of how these patches are broken down. And then I'll also be uploading different things such as field recordings, multi-samples of different instruments I have and find around the world. So yeah, I will just be doing a quick show of all of the different notes in here. And just if there are any repeats, they are held notes, not double played, just so you know. So you don't absolutely have to become a patron to receive. I hope you can just reference this. If they were darker, that means they're an octave up. I'm not trying to, keep anything from anybody. It's the easiest way for me to kind of distribute out different things for different people. All right, well, thank you so much for listening. I hope that you enjoyed this patch, and I hope you have fun making it on your own and enjoy some of my other videos. Thanks.